Today we're reviewing 3 roguelikes and adding them to the tier wall. At the end of the video I will also be moving one of the games already on the tier wall to its rightful place. But today we have Thronefall, DotAGE and Cobalt Core. But let's start off with Thronefall. Thronefall is a beautiful little game that is due to release on 11th of October fully. It's currently in early access, developed and published by Grizzly Games. It's a tower defense city builder. Each level you select your little king, your little knight's weapon from a potential 6 and choose from 5 perks of a potential 43. And then you have the option to select various mutators, which will make each level kind of more difficult and hinder you in particular ways, but increase the score that you get at the end. So during each level you face an increasingly difficult waves of enemies, but the beauty and the joy of this is that you kind of build up your settlement that you need to defend. You need to defend your town centre and you build the settlement up around it, needing to balance your economy by building mines, fields, houses, which all generate income each day. As well as building your towers, your walls, traps, and armies to kind of defend the waves, as well as attacking or supporting with your actual little king or knight dude, whatever he is, himself. Each level has various different environments, enemies, meaning you have to adapt to the kind of choke points of the map, the enemy types of the map. You know, as an example, there might be a large amount of flying enemies, so you need to make a higher amount of archers over melee attackers, which would be useless. And each level has a certain amount of waves, which takes a little bit of time to kind of find the strategy for that level. This I think is where the unique love comes from, is that you have to appreciate the fact that you can't just go with one strategy. You have to learn that level. That stage has almost a way of winning. Now there are multiple ways, but there are definitely strategies that you might choose that just won't work, and you have to adapt to that. And that might be, you know, resetting your run and going, okay, I need to have more archers over melee, as an example, or this area of the map during the 3rd wave I'm going to get an influx of a particular type of unit that I can counter with a particular type of trap or tower. So I need to generate the income to be able to build that. And that kind of learning of how each stage works is what I really love in this game. Honestly, the game is beautiful. It's really addictive, and it is fairly difficult. It's a difficult little roguelike that deserves your time. You might get a good 10 to 15 hours of play from the main campaign to get to the end, but there's a huge amount of high scores and unlock hunting that you can go after. And all for £11. 11 quid is a damn good price for the quality of this game. And as I said, it comes out on the 11th of October, and there'll be, you know, additional content that's added. When I first started playing this, I think there were only 4 stages, and there's now 6 or 7 maybe. So it's definitely worth a look. This one's a little gem of roguelike that will really entertain you for a while. And as I said, it's bloody beautiful. So in terms of putting this on the wall, this is going to sit right here in uncommon for now. Not because it's a bad game, as honestly this is a fantastic game, but it simply has a certain amount of content. You know, it is what you pay for, but the polish of this game makes it so good. So I'm going to sit it here in uncommon. Let me know your comments if you agree. Now let's move on to DotAGE or DotAGE. DotAGE is how it's meant to be said, I believe. This is quite frankly a weird one, but man, do I love it. It's a turn-based settlement strategy game with a heavy resource management focus, developed and published by Paravano, I believe. The game has a ton of character, from the pixel art, the dialogue, the general style of it. And the game begins by picking an elder to guide your tribe through the apocalypse. Okay, the elder foresees prophecies and gets visions of the future in order to kind of guide your little tribe and develop your settlement as to best avoid the incoming apocalypse. You arrive in a land and start to build, keeping the village fed every turn, making sure you have enough food to do so, building houses so your villagers can breed to increase population, researching for future upgrades to advance your settlement further. But then early on, the elder will get a vision to tell you of the impending doom, and he does that in a way of showing you 4 pillars of a prophecy on a scroll that are from bottom to top a timeline. And though the events that he foresees will fall into one of these 4 pillars. Now, to begin with, you don't know what those pillars represent, but as you progress, you'll find out the resources that they are tied to. So I'll give a few examples here. Basically, every pillar that has these resources that you need to attain has a positive and a negative resource. Okay, so an example of that might be to generate hope or fear. Okay, so obviously you want to be generating hope to avoid fear. You might generate that hope through entertainment, building things that can entertain your villagers, but fear might be generated because of a lack of food, or because a villager decides that he's going to incite fear somehow. Maybe he gets a trait that causes them to run around and incite fear. And at the top, you'll see how much fear is being generated every day. You need to generate enough hope in order to counter that by this allotted time of the event. So it will tell you, the event will happen in 7 turn time or days time. And you need to make sure you generate enough hope to hopefully counter that. Another example might be heat and cold. So maybe there's a big freeze coming. So maybe it's winter as an example, and you need to generate enough heat so that your villagers don't freeze. And I mean literally freeze. Your villagers can become frozen to the ground permanently, and they are no longer of use to you in any way, shape or form. You can avoid that in multiple ways, but there are many events that will happen that will cause you to lose villagers. If you are the kind of player that when something bad happens, you can't play through it, this isn't the game for you, because this is a punishing game. Another example might be nature and cataclysm. So nature being created through gardens and parks, and cataclysm being developed through mines and sawmills. And you need to balance. The whole game is a balancing act. And there are far more severe kind of events and situations that can happen. Doom might cause the ground to open up, or a villager to become murderous and murder 5 villagers, as an example. The game is constantly keeping you on your toes, and you need to balance the resources depending on the date time of those events. There's a huge amount of replayability in this as well, because the game goes forward. I think each run has 7 chapters or years, seasons that you need to survive through in order to prosper. And if you do, you unlock various memories, which unlock more buildings, more traits that your pips can get, and actually you can unlock different elders, so that at the start of the game you can choose a different elder to go through a different story. They have different buildings and research trees, etc. And there are quite a lot of different research trees. You can really progress very far in these runs in terms of the buildings that you get, and the kind of resource chains, if you like, cutting down trees to make lumber, and then you can make those into planks and blah blah, that kind of thing. It's a very difficult game, but it's it's a massive time sap, and I love it for that. You can really find yourself going down a rabbit hole with this game. It's a proper diamond in the rough. You need to check this one out. It deserves to be appreciated for what it is and how unique it is in the roguelike genre. And for that, I'm putting this in the rare area. Up there with kind of Loop Hero. It's not for everyone, this game, but if you're a roguelike fan, you're looking for something a bit different, or you love strategy, check this one out because it's an absolute gem. Lastly, let's look at Cobalt Core. Now, if you haven't heard of Cobalt Core and you're a roguelike lover, you must check this out. This is a sci-fi deck builder kind of tactics game with amazing reviews for good reason. It's developed by Rocket Rat Games, published by Brace Yourself Games. This game ticks a lot of boxes in the kind of roguelike genre. You start by selecting a crew and selecting a ship. The crew selection relates to the type of cards that you'll receive in your deck. So, a different crew member tends to have a specific set of cards. Now, each battle, your ship faces off against an opponent ship on a linear right to left axis or x-axis. Okay, so your ship is pointing at their ship and you need to move left and right in order for your guns to hit their ship. Now, there are different, the different ships have different parts, obviously. Various different types of guns, different types of shields. They might have like gaps in the ship where you can't actually hit them right in the middle. There's a huge amount of variety, and the cards that you can play cause you to move left and right, to put shields on, for your guns to fire, and there's all the kind of general mechanics that you get with a Slay the Spire inspired game, where you get poison, stun, exhaust, overcharge, those kind of things. The great thing about this game is the characters aren't flat. The meta progression is huge. Every combat has the potential for so much variety due to the fact that you've got all the different types of cards, you've got all the different types of ships, all the different parts that can be on the ships, you've got environmental effects that can change how you have to tackle that battle, and the bosses are really wide in their variety as well. It really ramps up in the difficulty, but to start off, I think there's a really nice difficulty curve with this game. It doesn't try and handhold you, but at the same time, if you make a mistake or two, you can suffer quite quickly. But for those kind of hardcore players, there is a definite difficulty spike that you can kind of choose to turn on with harder difficulties, or just buy through how far you go. And of course, like most roguelike genres in this style of a kind of deck builder, after every battle you can choose what direction you go so that different events happen: repairing a ship, going to the shop, finding relics, choosing what battles you fight, that kind of thing. But the unique combat in this is what really carries the game, in the fact that every single combat has so much variety, and I think that's why this currently sits at 96% on Steam, and it deserves it, particularly for the £16 price tag. There's a huge amount to play, and if you're someone that likes Slay the Spire, Into the Breach, FTL, this one suits you down to a T. Check it out, it's brilliant. You will lose some time in it, but you'll enjoy that time. Okay, it's not lost if you're having fun, right? So I'm making a quick decision here, as I need to progress a bit more in this game. I've only gone so far, don't get me wrong, I've played a good deal of this game, but right now I'm going to be placing it in a similar space to DotAGE. It's up there in the higher end of rare. I can see myself, as I get further in this game, kind of maybe loving it even more, but I struggle to see that I would put it higher than something like Enter the Gungeon, so we'll see. So for now, it's going on that rare area. Now, lastly in this video, I need to right a wrong. I know that I was incredibly harsh on Risk of Rain 2. I do love the game, as I stated in the previous video. and really I was just a bit too critical of what Gearbox and Take-Two had done and allowed it to have too big an impact on its position. But it was a big impact. However, I'm going to move this, okay? I'm going to move it up to where it rightfully belongs, into the epic rare line, which is where I think it should be. The comments kind of spoke for themselves on this one from multiple people, but look, I've moved it now to where it should be. I appreciate the feedback, and you are right. Look, you are right. Thanks to everybody for checking this video out. Please drop your opinions, comments, hit that like and subscribe, notification bell. I'm going to leave it there for today, but look, thank you ever so much. Sending the positivity as always. Jammy out.